In our headlines on this Friday afternoon, July 14th, here in South Korea. Flash floods close underpasses, bridges and cause some residing in semi-basement and basement homes to take refuge elsewhere as rain remains relentless in most parts of the country. Meanwhile, over in Warsaw, President Yoon Kook and his Polish counterpart Andrzej Duda seal a deal to partner on reconstruction projects in Ukraine and to promote broader bilateral ties. And in a rare move, North Korea addresses the UN Security Council to defend its latest Hwasong-18 solid-fuel intercontinental ballistic missile launch, citing the need for national security amid external hostility. We start here in capital Seoul, where torrential downpours overnight have led to flash floods and related repercussions, including road closures and power outages. For more, I have my colleague Ishihu standing by live on site. So, Shiu, where exactly are you reporting from?
Sunny, I'm standing on the highway that's crossing over the Jamboree Bridge that's in central Seoul. And as you can see behind me, the bridge behind me is completely submerged with rain that pounded on South Korea last night. Now the streets and benches over by the river are also overflowing with rain. It's drizzling out here right now, but in some parts of Seoul last night, some 15 millimeters of rain per hour fell. This led to the closure of 4 major roads, including one on Jamboree Bridge. Access to 27 streams in the city, as well as some parts of Hangang River Park, are also restricted as of today. There was also a power outage in a 2,000-home apartment complex in Seodaemun-gu district in western Seoul. Many people living in basements have evacuated for safety reasons. Now, landslide warnings have been issued in some parts of Seoul, as well as in the cities of Cheongju, Ansan, and Kimjae. A woman in her 60s reported missing in Busan Tuesday is still unfortunately missing.
Right, I see. I suppose the relentless rain is hampering search efforts there. Now, that being said, how long will the rain persist?
Sunny, the rain is expected to continue well into mid-next week, but it's not only the rain that we should be concerned about, but also we should watch out for the lightning and the wind that's going to come with the rain. Now, in fact, the Interior Ministry elevated its warning level to severe since last night. The Central Disaster and Safety Countermeasure Headquarters also upped its response level from level 2 to 3. Authorities suggest that people stay out of at-risk areas such as basements and places likely to be affected by landslides. People should also stay away from streams and along shores where flooding is likely. Now, doors and windows in buildings should remain closed. It's also advised that people stay away from construction sites as strong winds may push materials around. And last but not least, check for real-time weather updates on broadcast and online. Sunny?
Right, I see you. Thank you for the words of caution and the updates. In other news, Korea and Poland are committed to reconstructing Ukraine's infrastructure, and they're determined to build back better, if I may, despite Russia's ongoing destruction. Intentions to this end were shared during a summit between President Yoon Kook and his Polish counterpart Andrzej Duda on Thursday in Warsaw. Our senior presidential correspondent Oh Soo-young reports.
South Korea has established the three-way system with Ukraine to support its post-war reconstruction efforts with Poland, with Seoul pushing for some $52 billion worth of projects through public and private initiatives. That's according to President Yoon Kook's senior economic secretary, after the South Korean leader and his Polish counterpart held a summit on Thursday where they agreed to ramp up joint efforts for Ukraine's infrastructural development. Choi Sang-mok told reporters that Ukraine made a request to the South Korean government in May to provide some $20 billion worth of recovery support in over 5,000 projects. Seoul is currently working to provide governmental assistance through construction pilot projects to restore vital facilities such as schools, housing and hospitals. The government also estimates around $32 billion of potential private sector deals are in the works, particularly in building small modular nuclear power plants, with 6 MOUs among corporate entities, including Hyundai Engineering and Tusan Enerbility. Korean firms are also looking to develop airport and railway facilities, along with smart cities in Ukraine, to go beyond simply restoring infrastructure to upgrading them with advanced urban systems.
South Korea hopes to utilize its technology and own developmental experience that achieved the miracle of the Han River for Ukraine's reconstruction. From the second half of this year, we'll start formulating a smart city master plan for Kyiv and Uman.
In order to facilitate such recovery projects, Chair said that South Korea will offer institutional support, having effectively set up a cooperation system with Poland and Ukraine to develop and promote recovery projects through various intergovernmental agreements. Seoul will also open a Warsaw-based office to promote rapid information exchange and cooperation between public and private sectors and offer customized support for firms. It also looks to provide greater financial support through official development assistance and development loans, shortening the implementation process and seeking joint financing with international bodies such as the European Bank for Reconstruction and Development. While Russia's invasion is still ongoing, the Yoon administration says that Seoul will continue to make meticulous preparations for Ukraine's post-war future, something that President Volodymyr Zelensky has called a common task for the entire democratic world. Oseong, Arirang News, Warsaw.
Right, and staying in Warsaw, beyond their pledge to rebuild Ukraine, Presidents Yoon and Duda have agreed to partake in broader bilateral initiatives that seek mutual prosperity and security. Our top office correspondent Kim Do-yeon has details.
As South Korea and Poland are stepping up cooperation based on shared values, the two agreed to expand their economic exchanges, penning MOUs on trade and infrastructure cooperation. One was the Trade and Investment Promotion Framework, designed to create a trade and investment framework to advance cooperation in various industries, business activities, and supply chains, as South Korean firms expand into Poland's high-tech industries such as electric vehicle batteries and 5G.
오늘 양국 간 채택된 무역 투자 촉진 프레임워크는 교육 투자 확대뿐만 아니라 산업 공급망 등 포괄적 협력을 촉진하기 위한 것으로 양국 경제 협력의 외연 확대에 새로운 모멘텀을 제공할 것으로 기대합니다.
The two leaders also agreed to advance bilateral cooperation in strategic areas including nuclear power plants and the defense industry, as the top office says that seemed to be the focus of the Polish side as well in these bilateral talks. In fact, South Korea has been exporting K2 tanks, howitzers, and fighter jets to Poland recently, and President Duda showed his wishes to build on this.
We wish to not only import South Korean weapons, but also manufacture them here in Poland. K2 tanks are one of the examples.
An MOU was signed to advance infrastructure projects, with a focus on the transport sector not only in Poland, but across Central and Eastern Europe. This includes construction of airports and communication infrastructure in the region. The top office showed its confidence for these plans.
Strengthening economic security cooperation between Korea and Poland will be a focal point for complementing our existing European supply chain network. The TIPF signed at this summit, and the MOU for transportation infrastructure development cooperation will serve as a catalyst for this.
The two leaders also agreed to double down on countering North Korea's threat to global peace and security, criticizing the North's missile program, including the most recent launch just a couple of days ago, and calling for an end to its nuclear program.
또한 북한 정권이 북한 주민의 인권과 생존권을 도외시한 채 핵 미사일 개발을 지속적으로 하고 있는 점을 규탄하였습니다. 우리는 북한 불법 노동자 파견과 사이버 활동을 차단하면서 북한 인권 상황 개선을 위한 공동 노력을 배가해 나아가기로 했습니다.
Following the summit, the Polish president hosted an official dinner at the presidential palace with around 80 guests. According to the top office, the two celebrated a successful year of bilateral trade despite the global economic hurdles and pledged to cooperate to safeguard the values of liberal democracy. Kim Do-yeon, Arirang News.
And on his final day in Poland on Friday, President Yoon Suk-yeol is slated to sit down for a number of major business gatherings. Now, they include a forum with 89 corporate leaders from Korea and some 160 in Poland to pen 30 MOUs on areas ranging from nuclear power to infrastructure. And speaking of infrastructure, a separate meeting will take place to spearhead joint partnership in reconstruction projects in Ukraine. President Yoon will also have lunch with Korean business leaders in Poland before engaging with the student body at Warsaw University. And South Korea has imposed sanctions on more individuals and institutions amid North Korea's most recent long-range ballistic missile launch, while the latter itself addressed the United Nations Security Council for the first time in years to defend its hostile weapons ambitions. Our defense correspondent Jae Jung has more.
The South Korean government has made clear that North Korea's provocations will inevitably come at a price. In response to Pyongyang's launch of a Hwasong-18 ICBM this week, the Foreign Ministry on Friday slapped sanctions on 4 individuals and 3 institutions involved in the regime's nuclear and missile development. This is the 10th round of sanctions put in place against the North since the beginning of the Yoon administration. The 4 individuals on the blacklist are former and current high-level North Korean officials, including the director of the General Political Bureau of the North Korean Army. They were involved in the development and financing of nuclear and missile programs and engaged in commercial activities that violate UN Security Council sanctions. North Korea's latest missile launch has also prompted the UN Security Council to convene an emergency meeting. However, members of the UNSC failed to hold North Korea accountable for its recent missile launch due to China and Russia's opposition. Speaking at the meeting for the first time in over 5 years, North Korea's envoy to the UN defended the latest ICBM test, saying it had no negative effect on the security of its neighbors.
Our test fire of a new type of ICBM, Hwasong-18, is a warranted exercise of the right to self-defense, to deter dangerous military moves of hostile forces, and safeguard security of our state and peace in the region.
Pyongyang's envoy also slammed South Korea and the U.S., arguing that strengthening deterrence between the two countries is a threatening act and heightens the risk of nuclear war. Meanwhile, the U.S. also demonstrated its ironclad commitment to reinforcing extended deterrence in South Korea by conducting combined air drills with Seoul over the Korean peninsula on Thursday. Seoul's Joint Chiefs of Staff explained that South Korea and the U.S. enhanced their ability to conduct combined operations by swiftly deploying Washington's extended deterrence asset. Jae Jung, Arirang News.
The European Union has extended a vote of confidence in food products from Fukushima by lifting its related import restrictions. Our Lee Seung-jae reports.
The European Union on Thursday announced it would lift restrictions on food imports from Fukushima and any Japanese import restrictions imposed after the 2011 Fukushima nuclear accident.
On our side, the European Union side, we agreed to lift the remaining restrictive import measures that were linked to the Fukushima accident. We have taken this decision based on science and based on the proof of evidence and based on the assessment of the International Atomic Energy Agency.
While the European Commission says that the restriction had been fully lifted, it called on Japan to continue to monitor for radioactivity and publish its findings. Since an earthquake and tsunami wrecked the Fukushima Daiichi nuclear plant in 2011, the EU had required pre-export testing of food products for radioactivity. And since 2021, it had required certificates showing levels of radioactive isotopes in a number of agricultural and fisheries goods from the area. With the latest lifting of restrictions, the EU hopes that Japan will also ease restrictions on EU farm produce, as European Commission President Ursula von der Leyen said both sides had also agreed to work on removing Japanese trade barriers to EU beef, fruit, and vegetables. In response, Japanese Prime Minister Fumio Kishida welcomed the latest EU announcement, saying the lifting of the restriction will help drive forward the reconstruction of the devastated areas, adding that Japan would also make a judgment on EU farm produce restrictions based on science, as the EU had done in lifting its restrictions. Lee Seung-jae, Arirang News.
Meanwhile, the World Health Organization classifies aspartame as possibly carcinogenic but sees no need to change its current recommended daily dose. Two WHO agencies, the International Agency for Research on Cancer and the Joint Expert Committee on Food Additives, conducted independent but complementary reviews. Both bodies have cited limited evidence, but the first agency has classified aspartame as possibly carcinogenic, and the other agency has concluded that the acceptable daily intake can be maintained at 0 to 40 milligrams per kilogram of body weight. Aspartame is a sugar substitute found in diet drinks and sweet snacks. On the K-pop front, BTS member Jung Kook has released his first official solo single, 7. According to Big Hit Music, 7 is a summer song with a lively tune that shows off Jung Kook's vocals. American rapper Lotto features in the song, and actress Han So-hee appears in the music video. Jung Kook, speaking through his agency, said 7 is an easygoing song that he was instantly drawn to. Jung Kook is now the 6th member of BTS who has made an official solo debut, following J-Hope, Jin, RM, Jimin and Suga. The modern pizza, as we know it, has its roots in Naples, Italy. But this year's world champion for the best Naples-style pizza has his roots here in Korea. Our Kim Jung-sil had the pleasure of meeting him.
Meet this year's king of pizza, Chef Yoon. He has been named as the best Neapolitan pizza maker in the world in the annual Trofeo Caputo World Championship held in Italy. More than 500 pizza makers from 22 countries competed for the highest honor this year, and to everyone's surprise, Chef Yu claimed the victory. The news made headlines in Italy, with its local media reporting the king of pizza comes from Korea. But did you know that you would win?
I didn't, because there were more talented chefs that are from Italy, so I just came home before the announcement and later found out that I won.
But how? What was so special about his pizza that moved the judges in Italy?
I felt that the masters in Italy want to inherit its unique culture of making Neapolitan pizza, so I stuck with the traditional method while trying to make it tastier.
Yu's pizza follows the traditional recipe: a basic dough, tomato sauce, fresh mozzarella cheese, and basil leaves. His restaurant in Goyang, Gyeonggi-do Province was already a local's favorite, but ever since the win, there isn't an empty seat.
We waited for 2 or 2.5 hours to get a table. I would wait 5 to 6 hours because it was the best pizza I've ever tasted.
Pizza just melted in my mouth. The dough tastes so good. The cheese too. It was worth the wait.
Mainly self-taught through cookbooks and YouTube videos, he's been making pizzas for just over a decade.
Out of all the things that you could have pursued, why Neapolitan pizza?
I went on a backpacking trip to Italy when I was young, and when I tasted the pizza, it tasted so good. It was made with simple ingredients, but the taste captured me. That's when I fell in love.
Even after the win, Yu says he has a firm belief that the head chef must always stay in the kitchen.
I'm gonna continue making pizzas as I do every single day. I just hope that my pizza tastes the best in the world. If someone says that to me, I would be so happy.
A pizza master who respects the values of Italian tradition hopes to spread the beauty of Neapolitan pizza to his customers. Kim Jung-sil, Arirang News.
In Korea's Jeju Island, artworks by artists who've kept their disabilities from hindering their sense of expression and creation are sharing their works in line with this year's celebration of a broader diplomatic friendship. My colleague Shin Ha-young was there.
Vivid colors covering the whole canvas, and on top of that are some shimmering unknown formulas. This work can be seen at an exhibition called Intense Difference of Its Own at Jeju's International Convention Center. It's part of the mathematical drawing series by Kim Yeon-woo, also known as Pixel Kim, a Korean pixel artist with Down syndrome. He is famous for having a drawing displayed at the Yongsan presidential office. For Kim, pixels serve as his own unique units of memories.
대규모로 100의 재료 주제를 가지고 네모난 새로 그리는 퍼포먼스 하고 있습니다.
Kim's Pixar beginnings go back to his school days when he would draw lines which he turned into squares. Then he wrote down the names of his friends in the squares and imagined interacting with them. In math class, Kim used to scribble down unrecognizable math formulas and graphs. That early work is reflected in his canvases these days. He draws whenever he gets inspired, as if he's writing a diary. Certain pieces drew inspiration from trips to Canada, where he participated in exhibitions and artist residency programs. Kim has been consistently engaging in exchanges with Canada since 2019. Meanwhile, the exhibition, which focuses on the value of artistic difference in the context of disabilities, does not only display Kim's work, but also features the work of the late Won Lee, a world-renowned Korean-Canadian sculptor who lived with the effect of polio. Visitors can also enjoy paintings by Canadian artists Brian Ennis and Michelle Benny.
It's important to determine how South Korea and Canada should progress together. We should establish the goals that both are aiming for, as well as the values regarding expression and diversity. The exhibition is a perfect example of that.
Celebrating 60 years of diplomatic ties between South Korea and Canada, the exhibition will run until July 23rd, bringing together artists with disabilities from both countries. 신하영, 아리랑 뉴스, 제주.
Let's take a look at what's going on in the world now. In Sudan's West Darfur, the United Nations said on Thursday that a mass grave has been found containing 87 bodies, including women and children. It was discovered outside the region's capital of Al Janaina. Among the victims were ethnicities often targeted by Arab militias, supported by the Rapid Support Forces paramilitary group. The UN has demanded an investigation and says it has evidence that the RSF committed the killings last month. The RSF has denied any involvement and has pinned the blame on tribal conflict. The paramilitary group's conflict with Sudan's military since April has brought the country to the brink of civil war. There are worries the killings could be the start of a repeat of an ethnic cleansing campaign in Darfur in 2003, when around 300,000 people were killed by the Janjaweed militia, a group that grew into the RSF. Moving over to the United States, on Thursday, the Food and Drug Administration approved the country's first non-prescription birth control pill. Called Opill, it's a daily oral pill that uses the hormone progestin. The approval means that millions of women will have access to over-the-counter contraception without first having to see a healthcare provider. The FDA voiced hope that the approval could help reduce the roughly 3 million unintended pregnancies in the country each year. The approval comes amid a number of U.S. states banning abortion after the Supreme Court struck down the right to the procedure last year. The pill is expected to be available in stores from early 2024. And finally, a video of a sea otter aggressively trying to steal a surfboard from a surfer in Santa Cruz, California, is going viral. According to reports, the 5-year-old female otter has been involved in 4 similar incidents. The otter was reportedly born in captivity and was later released. Wildlife officials are trying to recapture her. Experts say that the behavior is likely triggered by hormones and that she will need to remain in a sanctuary after being recaptured. Matthew Ashley, Arirang News.
Good afternoon. The downpours that lashed across the central regions have moved down south, and until Sunday, we will be seeing 20 to 80 millimeters an hour of rain hammering down across Korea. Chungcheongdo and Jeollabuk-do provinces need to brace for downpours tomorrow, with up to 300 millimeters in the forecast. Meanwhile, Jeolladam-do province could see more than 200 millimeters, and Seoul could see up to 100 millimeters more rainfall. The rain advisory in the capital has been lifted, but most of the south will be under heavy rain alerts throughout the day. Meanwhile, a strong wind advisory is also in place along coastlines in Jeju Island, with the landslide crisis alert at its highest across Korea. Well, parts of Jeju Island are still under a heat wave advisory, and some parts started out the day at 29 degrees this morning. The rest of the country is seeing highs that are similar to yesterday. And please do expect to see monsoon rain into the middle of next week. Stay alert and safe. That's Korea for you, and here's a look at the international weather conditions.
That ends our Friday afternoon newscast. We have our panel session coming up next, so do stay with us.
Mabuhay. I am the ambassador of the Philippines to the Republic of Korea, Teresa Dizon de Vega. As Korea moves into a more active and engaged position as a global pivotal state, and with the growing influence of Korea in many fields, not just the economy, but also in innovation, in digitalization, in saving the environment, and of course in creative content. Arirang TV has been a very important platform for bringing news and information about Korea to the rest of the world, and also as a platform for talking about and discussing and engaging with other countries and talking about Korea's bilateral relations with the Philippines and with the greater global community. As we move towards a new era after the pandemic, we look forward to more active engagement, to more information, to more opportunities for discussion as Korea, the Philippines, and the rest of the world build a better and safer normal. Resonating with the world, Arirang.
너가 넘어질 때 나도 걸음을 멈출게. 내가 사랑했던 모든 것들은 나를 눈물 짓게 할 테니까. 나는 나의 내일은 누군가의 자랑이 또 사랑이 되고 싶었는데 너와 내가 어른이 되어버리는 그날 오 내가 사랑한 너의 외로워 아름답고 눈부시길
simply contour. India, the United Kingdom, New Zealand. Woo!
I'm excited. You excited?
Of course.
Yeah.
Music, start.
The Ministry of Gender Equality and Family seeks to promote the broader well-being of Koreans in society by ensuring a fair and safe living environment for all. So what policies are in place to support single-parent families? What efforts are underway to protect women from violent crimes? And what initiatives are being planned to boost birth rates? Welcome to Issues and Insiders. Today, I have the pleasure of speaking with the Minister of Gender Equality and Family for her thoughts and efforts aimed at promoting the overall welfare of the Korean society. I have Minister Kim Hyun-suk here in the studio. Welcome to the program.
Thank you for inviting.
Right, Minister Kim, you've been in office for a little over a year now.
Yes.
Let's begin perhaps with a few words about your ministry's work thus far.
Okay. I started off with the challenging task of restructuring our organization. Unlike other ministries, I put all my energy into developing a reorganization plan that would benefit our citizens while further upgrading our existing politics on women, family, and youth at the same time. Looking back over the past year, I believe that both I and my colleagues at the ministry have worked more arduously than ever before. The policy we have diligently prioritized over the past 1 year was the youth policy. I strongly believe that in an era marked by significant declines in birth rate, it is crucial to effectively implement youth policies in a way that nurtures each and every young individual as a healthy, valuable asset for the future. Last year, we announced comprehensive measures to strengthen support for youth inside and outside of schools to ensure that adolescents receive sufficient support both within and beyond the schools. We are also carrying out youth policy companionship, which involves signing memorandum of understanding with municipal and provincial government and Office of Education. Since the COVID-19 pandemic, we have also significantly scaled up programs for mental health care of at-risk adolescents, such as those facing suicide and self-harm risk. We have also stepped up the protection of adolescents from emerging and evolving harmful environment brought on by room carpets, drugs, and online gambling, among others.
Right, I see. Minister Kim, could you tell us a bit about the support that your ministry has for single-parent families?
During the presidential campaign, I personally designed the pledge to expand child care support for single-parent families. Now, upon assuming office, one of my foremost priorities was to visit single-parent support facilities. As such, I'm deeply committed to supporting single parents through targeted policy initiative. We have broadened the scope of people eligible for child care subsidies for single-parent households, with approximately 20,000 additional individuals to benefit this year. Moreover, budget for child care subsidies for single-parent families increased by the largest margin of 17.7% from last year.
Right. Minister Kim, could you share with us a bit about your ministry's efforts to perhaps tackle heinous crimes against women?
Under the principle of a victim-centered approach and tougher penalties, we are meticulously carrying out a key national policy agenda for protecting and supporting the victims of 5 major types of violence. The Act on Protection of Victims of Stalking was enacted in January this year and is set to be enforced starting in July. Additionally, we have established and are operating an integrated solution support group on a pilot basis to eliminate the need for victims suffering multiple harms to visit each support agency separately.
I see. Back in March, you partook in the 67th session, I believe, of the Commission on the Status of Women. Minister Kim, what was discussed then?
Firstly, at the 67th session of the United Nations Commission on the Status of Women, we called the CSW, held at the UN headquarters in New York in March. The main agenda for discussion was innovation and technological change and education in the digital age for achieving gender equality and the empowerment of all women and girls. Opportunities and threats that digital technology presents to us from the perspective of gender equality were discussed in various aspects. During the session of the CSW, in particular, I had a series of meetings with the Executive Director of UN Women, Vice President of the European Commission, as well as Minister of Gender and Family Promotion of Rwanda, Minister of Gender Equality of Sweden, and Minister of Social and Family Development of Singapore, among others. We acknowledge the need to expand the policies to promote the advancement of women and girls in emerging technologies and high value-added areas such as IT, AI, and big data to ensure that they are provided with more equal opportunities, and also discuss the need for international cooperation and coordination to deal with issues such as online sexual exploitation, violence, and hatred that are amplified by digital technologies. Regarding this matter, the Executive Director of UN Women herself assessed that Korea has shown best practice on tackling digital sex crime as well.
Right, there was a very encouraging compliment there. Minister Kim, you were in Germany and Sweden in June to touch upon family policies and ways to boost birth rates. Could you tell us a bit more about that trip?
I visited Germany and Sweden recently to learn from their best practices and strengthen exchanges, as they are known for their relatively higher fertility rate of 1.6 children per woman. First, in Sweden, I visited the Ministry of Employment, the Ministry of Health and Social Affairs, and the Swedish Social Insurance Agency, and engaged in discussion to build upon various practices of gender equality and family support policies. Sweden introduced parental leave for the first time in the world in 1974. The country implemented a mandatory 30-day period of paternity leave in 1994 and subsequently extended the leave period to 60 days in 2002 and further to 90 days starting in 2016, thereby institutionalizing equal parenting responsibility as well. It was deeply impressive to hear from the spokesperson for the Swedish Social Insurance Agency emphasizing the impact of mandatory paternity leave on the achievement of equal parenting responsibilities, evidenced by research results. He further shared the experience of the Swedish government, where the goal of gender equality ultimately translated into positive outcomes, also in terms of fertility rate. Next, in Germany, I visited the Federal Ministry for Family Affairs, Senior Citizens, Women and Youth, where the minister explained how the ministry recognizes itself as a social ministry encompassing the entire life cycle and population. I also saw firsthand the policy delivery mechanism being facilitated by collaboration across state government, its affiliated organizations, private institutions, and civil groups. Germany, in particular, has been actively supporting single-parent family who account for 18% of the total household in the country, recognizing their unique circumstances, which often lead to economic difficulties. Germany introduced advanced maintenance payments in 1980 to provide targeted support ever since. I believe this example will be a valuable reference for crafting our policies for single-parent families.
And along with those policies to promote family stability, what policy, Minister Kim, is in place to address the wage gap between genders, as well as, of course, the challenge of securing jobs after a career break for women?
Gender pay gap in Korea stands at 31.1%. As of 2021, which is the largest among OECD countries and also significantly higher than OECD average of 11.9% for 21 member countries. Therefore, addressing the gender pay gap can be considered one of the key tasks in achieving gender equality in the economic domain. Above all, we recognize the importance of enabling women to have uninterrupted careers and remain actively engaged in the labor market. Last year, we expanded our policy paradigm for supporting women with career interruptions by shifting our focus from providing re-employment assistance to preventing career interruptions. This policy approach aims to minimize the attrition of working women from the labor market. We plan to operate job competence enhancement programs for parental leave takers in the software and AI industries to prevent their exit from the labor market, particularly for women with career interruptions. We'll scale up online classes and other vocational education and training is a promising emerging field that offer more flexibility in terms of location and time, while also bolstering job referral services. In addition, we will diversify employment focus such as platform-based. In addition, we will diversify employment forms such as platform-based work, local jobs, and entrepreneurship, and broaden the scope of job opportunities that are aligned with regional industrial characteristics. Moreover, we plan to strengthen career path consulting service for young women throughout their entire life cycle, as well as support for women in career change or transition for the digital field. Furthermore, we aim to reinforce care support for working parents by expanding personal child care service at home and create a family-friendly and gender-balanced corporate environment, among others, to promote a culture that encourages work-life balance.
Minister Kim, what efforts, broadly speaking that is, are also being made by your ministry to perhaps protect women in general from violence? I ask because I have a daughter in college and I was wondering what efforts are being made by the ministry with regard to that.
Okay, the Korean government has taken on the task of protecting victims of 5 major types of violence, including digital sex crimes and stalking, as part of its national policy agenda. Efforts are underway to improve the effectiveness of existing systems and establish a comprehensive support system. To begin with, the Act on Prevention of Stalking aimed at supporting stalking victims will come into effect on July 18, and a bill to amend the Act on Punishment of Stalking enforced from October 2021 has passed the National Assembly in June, namely calling for abolition of non-prosecution against the will of the victim. Starting from May, urgent housing support and treatment and recovery program have been provided to victims of stalking in cooperation with the Korean National Police Agency. Measures such as the installation of 112 emergency bells within the residential support facilities have been implemented to enable swift policy dispatch during emergencies. From the second half of this year, a linkage between Police 112 and the Women's Emergency Hotline 1366 will be established to provide immediate assistance to victims upon reporting incident. Additionally, private security service and other forms of support will be extended to individuals at high risk. On the other hand, in order to support the victims of digital sex crimes, we have expanded the operation of regional specialized counseling centers from 10 locations last year to 14 locations this year. These centers provide assistance in deleting the illegal filmed materials and offer counseling and recovery support. Moreover, to support victims suffering multiple harms, such as digital sex crimes accompanied by stalking, a pilot program called Integrated Support Service for Victims of 5 Major Types of Violence has been launched in Gyeonggi and Busan, operated by the Integrated Solution Support Group. This program provides one-stop case management support. Assistance is also widening for underserved victims, including the installation of protection facilities for male victims or victims with disabilities.
Right, for male victims and those with disabilities as well.
Okay.
That is good to know. Meanwhile, Minister Kim, come next month, that will be August, Korea will host the 25th World Scout Jamboree. Could you tell us a bit more about this gathering?
The upcoming 25th World Scout Jamboree 2023 Saemangeum will be the first large-scale international youth event since the COVID-19 pandemic and the largest ever in history, with over 43,000 participants from around 150 countries worldwide. The theme of this event is Draw Your Dream, and its most notable features include the global promotion of cake culture and the utilization of metaverse platforms, among other elements, making it a digital jamboree. As part of the main programs, we have prepared a range of on-site and off-site activities. Within this campground, the participants can engage in traditional Korean games, while in Jeju Hanok Village, Buan, Jiksocheon, and Gosapo Beach, they can explore the nature, tradition, and history of Korea. We have also organized a diverse array of special activity programs, including K-pop concert, to enable youth from around the world to experience and enjoy K-pop and K-food. Through this jamboree, we anticipate that K-culture will extend its reach throughout the entire world, further elevating Korea's profile as a culture powerhouse. We have also launched the Jamboree, Metaverse, and the official mobile applications, allowing visitors to engage in scout activities and immerse themselves in the culture of the Jeollabuk-do region. Within the virtual space, we kindly ask for your active participation. Not only Scout members, but also ordinary citizens are welcome to take part as day visitors and experience a wide range of exciting programs. We highly encourage you to bring your children along and visit the Jamboree venue to enjoy your time together.
And finally, Minister Kim, what can you tell us about your remaining objectives while in office?
This year, Sunny, our ministry will concentrate its capability on these 3 key areas: expanding women's participation in economic activities, addressing the issue of low birth rate, and supporting the growth of youth. First and foremost, we'll establish a pan-government council for female workforce development to reinforce cross-ministerial coordination and cooperation with a view to enabling outstanding female talent to pursue high-quality jobs in fields such as digital technology, semiconductor, and biotechnology. In addition, we are committed to working together with the private sector to promote work-life balance and a culture of gender equality within workplaces. Through the Happy Companionship initiative in promoting dialogue with exemplary companies that have enhanced gender balance, as well as women business leaders and women entrepreneurs organization, we will strive to create a society of gender equality where everyone can experience happiness. On the other hand, we'll also devote significant effort to tackling the issue of low birth rate, which is directly linked to our country's national competitiveness. To that end, our work will focus on enhancing care support, specifically through the expansion of personal child care service at home, promoting a culture of shared responsibility between men and women, and fostering work-life balance in the private sector through the family-friendly corporation certification system. Moreover, we will continue our collaboration with Education Office nationwide, as well as municipal and provincial government to ensure that the various youth support measures that have been announced are effectively implemented on the ground.
Right, I see. Well, best of luck in your future endeavors, Minister Kim. Thank you so much for your time today.
And thank you for my invitation today. Thank you.
Right. Well, that is all the time we have for this edition of Issues and Insiders. Thank you for watching.